Dealing with toxic people is an inevitable challenge, but managing them with wisdom can make the difference between a harmonious life and one filled with conflict. Today, I invite you on a deep journey to discover the 10 types of toxic people and how to handle their behaviors. We will not only identify these types but also provide you with practical strategies. This video is designed to be comprehensive and full of valuable information, resulting from careful dedication to ensure each piece of advice is useful and applicable to your daily life. At the end of the video, I will reveal the most crucial type of toxic person you must avoid at all costs. If you're ready to learn and grow with us, join us on this important journey toward a more peaceful and satisfying life. Let's begin. Understanding and managing toxic behaviors is crucial for maintaining peace and harmony in our lives. Toxic people can be found in every aspect of life, from personal relationships to professional settings. Recognizing their patterns and knowing how to respond can help you navigate these interactions with grace and wisdom. The principles of Stoicism, a philosophy founded in ancient Greece, provide timeless wisdom and practical strategies for handling such challenges. 1. The manipulator. Manipulators are skilled at controlling others to achieve their own ends, often at the expense of your well-being. They might use guilt, lies, or emotional blackmail to get what they want. These individuals can make you feel responsible for their happiness or problems, creating a cycle of dependency and control. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine, let's call her Sarah, had a colleague who was a master manipulator. This colleague always had a sob story and made Sarah feel guilty for not helping with extra work, even though it wasn't her responsibility. Sarah was constantly stressed, feeling like she could never say no. Recognize that you are not responsible for others' emotions or actions. Set clear boundaries and communicate them firmly. Marcus Aurelius, a prominent Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of focusing on what you can control, your own actions and responses. Remind yourself that their manipulative tactics are a reflection of their character, not yours. Practice self-reflection to ensure you are not enabling their behavior. When dealing with manipulators, it is crucial to remain calm and composed, avoid reacting to their provocations, and maintain your emotional distance. Use assertive communication to express your boundaries clearly and consistently. For example, you might say, "I understand that you are upset, but I cannot help you with this right now, or I feel uncomfortable when you use guilt to influence my decisions. Please respect my boundaries." Additionally, practice self-care to build your resilience against manipulative tactics. Engage in activities that nourish your mind, body, and spirit, such as meditation, exercise, or spending time in nature. Reflect on your values and priorities, and remind yourself of your worth and autonomy. By strengthening your inner resources, you can better withstand the pressures and manipulations of toxic individuals. 2. The narcissist. 2. The narcissist. Narcissists have an inflated sense of their own importance and a deep need for excessive attention and admiration. They often lack empathy for others and have an insatiable desire to be recognized as superior, even without corresponding achievements. Narcissists can be charming and persuasive, making it easy to be drawn into their orbit. However, their self-centered behavior and lack of regard for others can be draining and damaging to those around them. I once knew a guy, let's call him Tom, who would hijack every conversation to talk about his achievements, no matter how trivial. One time, during a friend's birthday party, Tom spent an hour bragging about his latest work project, completely overshadowing the celebration. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own virtues and not seek validation from others. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, advised that we should not be disturbed by the opinions and actions of others, but rather concentrate on maintaining our own moral integrity. When dealing with a narcissist, it is essential to manage your expectations and not seek their approval. Understand that their behavior is a reflection of their insecurities, not your worth. To manage interactions with narcissists, practice emotional detachment. This does not mean being cold or indifferent, but rather maintaining your emotional equilibrium despite their provocations. Avoid engaging in power struggles or trying to outdo them in their games. Instead, focus on clear and concise communication. When they seek to dominate a conversation, you might redirect the focus by saying, "I appreciate your perspective, but let's hear what others have to say as well," or "I understand your point, now let's discuss how we can work together on this." Setting boundaries is crucial when dealing with narcissists. Clearly define what behaviors you will and will not tolerate. For example, you might say, "I need you to respect my time and not interrupt me during meetings," or "I won't participate in conversations that involve belittling others." Consistently reinforce these boundaries and be prepared to enforce consequences if they are violated. Another effective strategy is to minimize your interactions with narcissists whenever possible. If you must work with them, try to limit your exposure and focus on maintaining a professional relationship. Find solace in hobbies or activities that bring you joy and peace, serving as a counterbalance to the draining nature of narcissistic interactions. 3. The victim. The victim is a person who constantly sees themselves as a victim of circumstance, unable to take responsibility for their actions or outcomes. They tend to blame others for their problems and often seek sympathy rather than solutions. This perpetual victim mentality can be draining for those around them, as they may continually demand emotional support and validation without making efforts to improve their situation. In personal relationships, a victim might frequently complain about their hardships, expecting you to provide constant reassurance and attention. They might resist any suggestions for change, preferring to stay in their comfort zone of self-pity. In professional settings, a victim might blame colleagues or external factors for their lack of progress, avoiding accountability for their own actions. Let me share another story. Jane had a friend, Mike, who was always lamenting about his bad luck and how the world was against him. Whenever Jane tried to offer solutions or advice, Mike would dismiss them, preferring to wallow in his misery. The Stoic philosophy emphasizes taking responsibility for our own lives and focusing on what we can control. Epictetus taught that while we cannot control external events, we can control how we respond to them. When dealing with a victim, it is important to encourage them to take ownership of their situation and focus on actionable steps they can take to improve their circumstances. To manage interactions with a victim, practice empathetic listening without enabling their behavior. Acknowledge their feelings but gently guide the conversation towards solutions. For example, you might say, "I understand that you're feeling overwhelmed by this situation. What steps can we take to address it?" Or, "It sounds like you're going through a tough time. How can we work together to find a solution?" Setting boundaries is also crucial when dealing with a victim. Clearly communicate that while you are willing to offer support, you cannot constantly shoulder their burdens. For instance, you might say, "I'm here to help you brainstorm solutions, but I can't fix this for you, or I can listen to your concerns. But it's important that we also focus on finding ways to move forward." Encourage the victim to adopt a more proactive mindset by introducing them to Stoic principles. Share insights from Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, who believed in the power of rational thinking and self-discipline. Encourage them to reflect on their thoughts and actions, and to consider how they can change their perspective to better cope with challenges. Additionally, promote self-reliance and resilience by highlighting their strengths and past successes. Remind them of times when they overcame difficulties and how their own efforts contributed to those successes. This can help shift their focus from helplessness to empowerment. Lastly, inspire the victim by setting an example of positive change. Share stories of individuals who have overcome similar challenges through determination and self-improvement. This can motivate them to take the first steps towards transforming their own lives. 4. The critic. The critic is someone who constantly finds fault in others, often offering unsolicited advice or negative feedback. They can be highly judgmental, focusing on what you do wrong rather than recognizing your strengths and accomplishments. This constant criticism can erode your self-esteem and create a toxic environment where you feel undervalued and disrespected. I once worked with a colleague. Let's call him John, who seemed to have a comment about everything. No matter how well a project was executed, John always had something negative to say. "You know you could have done that better," or "I don't think that's the right approach," were his favorite lines. It was exhausting. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-improvement and constructive feedback, but they also emphasized maintaining inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of accepting criticism gracefully, but not allowing it to disturb your inner tranquility. When dealing with a critic, it is important to discern between constructive feedback and unnecessary negativity. To manage interactions with a critic, practice active listening but set boundaries on the type and frequency of feedback you accept. Acknowledge any valid points they might have, but don't feel obligated to engage with every critique. For instance, you might say, "Thank you for your input, I'll consider it," or "I appreciate your perspective, but I'm confident in the approach I've taken." Engage in self-reflection to evaluate the critic's comments objectively. Determine whether their feedback is based on genuine concern or a desire to undermine you. If it's the former, use it as an opportunity for growth. If it's the latter, remind yourself that their opinion does not define your worth or capabilities. One effective way to handle a persistent critic is to redirect the conversation towards solutions rather than problems. If they point out a flaw, ask them for constructive suggestions. For example, "I see your point. How would you recommend improving this?" This approach can shift their focus from negative criticism to positive problem solving. Another tactic is to limit your exposure to the critic, especially if their negativity starts affecting your mental health. Surround yourself with supportive individuals who provide balanced feedback and encouragement. Remember, it's important to maintain a healthy balance between self-improvement and self-acceptance. Finally, develop a sense of humor about the situation. Sometimes, lightening the mood with a joke can diffuse the tension. For instance, you might say, "If I had $1 for every critique, I'd be rich by now." Humor can be a powerful tool to maintain your sanity and keep things in perspective. 5. The gossip. The gossip thrives on spreading rumors and confidential information, often creating drama and distrust within a group. They can be charming and appear friendly, but their behavior can cause significant harm to relationships and reputations. Gossips often seek to elevate themselves by diminishing others, making it difficult to trust them. Imagine being part of a social group where one member, let's call her Lisa, always had the juiciest tidbits about everyone's personal life. Lisa's stories were entertaining at first, but soon people started fearing what she might say about them behind their backs. Stoicism teaches the value of integrity and the importance of not engaging in or spreading gossip. Epictetus advised that we should speak only what is necessary and beneficial. When dealing with a gossip, it is important to distance yourself from their toxic behavior and maintain your own integrity. To manage interactions with a gossip, avoid participating in their conversations. If they start sharing rumors, you might say, "I prefer not to talk about others when they're not here to defend themselves," or "let's focus on something more positive." By setting this example, you can discourage gossip and promote a more respectful atmosphere. Protect your personal information and avoid sharing sensitive details with the gossip. Be cautious about what you disclose and keep your conversations professional. If you need to share something confidential, choose someone you trust implicitly and who has a track record of discretion. Encourage others to do the same. Gossips thrive in environments where their behavior is tolerated. By fostering a culture of respect and confidentiality, you can help reduce the influence of gossip. Remind your friends or colleagues about the impact of spreading rumors and encourage them to adopt a more positive communication style. If you find yourself a target of gossip, remain calm and composed. Address any false information directly with those affected, but avoid getting drawn into a public confrontation with the gossip. Maintain your dignity and let your actions speak for your character. Lastly, practice empathy. Sometimes people engage in gossip because they feel insecure or seek validation. While this does not excuse their behavior, understanding their motives can help you respond with compassion rather than anger. As Marcus Aurelius said, whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I'm about to criticize?
6. The drama queen king. Drama queens or kings thrive on creating and being at the center of conflict and chaos. They have a tendency to exaggerate situations, making small issues seem like major crises. Their need for attention and validation can disrupt the peace and stability of any environment they are in. I remember a colleague, Alex, who would turn the simplest tasks into dramatic events. One time, the coffee machine broke down, and you would have thought it was a national emergency the way Alex reacted. Everyone's focus shifted from work to calming Alex down. Stoicism teaches the importance of maintaining inner calm and not being swayed by external chaos. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, emphasized the need to keep our emotions in check and not allow others to disturb our tranquility. When dealing with a drama queen or king, it is essential to remain calm and not get drawn into their theatrics. To manage interactions with a drama queen or king, practice detachment and do not feed into their drama. When they start exaggerating a situation, respond with calm, factual statements. For instance, "I understand you're upset about the coffee machine, but we can easily get it fixed," or "let's focus on finding a solution instead of getting overwhelmed by the issue." Limit your emotional reactions and maintain a neutral demeanor. Drama queens or kings often seek strong reactions from others to validate their feelings. By staying composed and not reacting emotionally, you can help de-escalate the situation. This approach aligns with the Stoic principle of responding rather than reacting. Encourage problem-solving rather than drama. When the drama queen or king starts to create a crisis, gently steer the conversation toward practical solutions. Ask questions like, what steps can we take to address this? Or how can we prevent this from happening in the future? This helps shift the focus from drama to constructive action. Set boundaries on how much time and energy you invest in their issues. Politely excuse yourself from conversations that start to veer into dramatic territory. You might say, I need to get back to work now, but I hope everything gets resolved soon, or I can help with this later. But right now I have other priorities. Finally, find humor in the situation when appropriate. Sometimes, lightening the mood with a gentle joke can help diffuse the drama. For example, you might say, looks like we're on the set of a soap opera today. Humor can be a powerful tool to keep things in perspective and maintain your own sanity. 7. The control freak. Control freaks have a compulsive need to dictate and manage every aspect of their environment and the people around them. They often struggle with delegating tasks and trusting others to do things correctly. Their micromanagement can create a stifling atmosphere where others feel disempowered and undervalued. Think of a friend, let's call her Emma, who had to plan every detail of a group trip down to the last minute. From meal times to bathroom breaks, Emma had it all scheduled. While her intentions were good, it left everyone else feeling restricted and stressed. The Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control and to accept what we cannot. Epictetus emphasized that true freedom comes from understanding the limits of our control. When dealing with a control freak, it is important to assert your own autonomy and encourage them to trust others. To manage interactions with a control freak, assert your independence and communicate your boundaries clearly. For example, you might say, I appreciate your input, but I'd like to handle this task my way, or I understand you have a plan, but I need some flexibility to work effectively. Assertive communication helps establish mutual respect and trust. Encourage collaboration and shared responsibility. Gently remind the control freak that teamwork requires trust and delegation. You might say, I value your leadership, but I believe we can achieve better results if we all contribute our strengths. Or let's divide the tasks so everyone feels involved and empowered. This approach fosters a more balanced and cooperative environment. Offer reassurance and build their confidence in others' abilities. Control freaks often micromanage out of fear that things will go wrong. By providing positive feedback and highlighting others' successes, you can help alleviate their anxiety. For example, you did a great job guiding us, and I've seen how capable the team is. Let's trust them to handle this part. Practice patience and empathy. Understand that control freaks often struggle with letting go due to underlying insecurities. By showing empathy and patience, you can create a more supportive atmosphere that encourages them to relax their grip. As Marcus Aurelius advised, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Lastly, seek balance in your own life to counteract the stress of dealing with a control freak. Engage in activities that promote relaxation and mindfulness, such as yoga, meditation, or spending time in nature. This helps maintain your own well-being and equips you to handle challenging interactions with greater resilience. 8. The passive-aggressive. The passive-aggressive person expresses negative feelings indirectly rather than openly addressing them. They might agree to tasks or plans, but then intentionally procrastinate, make excuses, or perform poorly to express their discontent. This behavior can create confusion, frustration, and mistrust. I once had a roommate, let's call him Mark, who would always agree to do the dishes but then forget or do them so poorly that we had to redo them. It was his way of showing he didn't want the responsibility without actually saying it. The Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of clear communication and understanding the true nature of things. Seneca wrote about the value of honesty and directness in relationships. When dealing with a passive-aggressive person, it is crucial to address issues directly and encourage open communication. To manage interactions with a passive-aggressive person, address their behavior calmly and directly. For example, you might say, I noticed that you agreed to help with this task, but it wasn't completed. Is there a reason why, or it seems like you're not happy with the current arrangement? Let's talk about how we can improve it. This approach encourages honesty and accountability. Encourage them to express their feelings openly rather than resorting to indirect actions. Create a safe and supportive environment where they feel comfortable sharing their concerns. You might say, "I value your input and want to make sure we're both happy with our responsibilities. Please let me know if something isn't working for you." Set clear expectations and follow up to ensure they are met. Clarify what needs to be done, by when, and to what standard. For instance, "I need the dishes done by tonight, and they should be clean enough that we don't need to redo them." Follow up with gentle reminders if necessary, reinforcing the importance of accountability. Model direct and respectful communication yourself. By demonstrating how to address issues openly and constructively, you can encourage the passive-aggressive person to adopt similar behaviors. Show that it's possible to disagree or express dissatisfaction without resorting to indirect actions. Lastly, practice patience and understanding. Recognize that passive-aggressive behavior often stems from a fear of confrontation or feeling powerless. By responding with empathy and support, you can help them develop more constructive ways of dealing with their feelings. Remember the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control: your own responses and actions. 9. The energy vampire. Energy vampires are individuals who drain your energy through constant complaining, negativity, or neediness. They often leave you feeling exhausted and overwhelmed after interactions. These people might not be malicious, but their constant demands and pessimism can be taxing on your mental and emotional well-being. I had a colleague, let's call her Nancy, who always had something to complain about. Whether it was work, the weather, or her personal life, there was always a new issue. Every lunch break turned into a draining session of endless complaints. Stoicism teaches the importance of preserving your inner peace and not allowing external factors to disturb it. Epictetus emphasized the need to maintain your own mental clarity and composure. When dealing with an energy vampire, it is crucial to protect your energy and set boundaries. To manage interactions with an energy vampire, limit the time you spend with them. Politely excuse yourself from prolonged conversations and create boundaries around when and how you interact. For instance, you might say, "I can chat for a few minutes, but then I need to get back to work," or "I'm really busy right now. Can we talk later?" Encourage them to focus on positive aspects and solutions rather than just problems. Redirect the conversation when it becomes too negative. You might say, "I understand that this situation is difficult, but what's something positive that happened today, or what steps can you take to improve this situation?" This helps shift the focus from complaining to constructive thinking. Offer support without getting overly involved in their issues. Provide a listening ear, but avoid taking on their emotional burdens. You might say, "I'm sorry you're going through this, but I trust you'll find a way to handle it," or "It sounds tough, but I believe in your ability to overcome it." This approach shows empathy without draining your own energy. Encourage them to seek professional help if their negativity persists. Sometimes, chronic complaining and negativity can be signs of underlying mental health issues. Suggesting they talk to a therapist or counselor can be beneficial. For example, it might help to talk to someone who can provide professional support and guidance. Lastly, prioritize your own self-care to maintain your energy and well-being. Engage in activities that replenish your energy and bring you joy, such as exercise, hobbies, or spending time with positive people. This helps ensure you have the emotional resilience to deal with energy vampires without being overwhelmed. 10. The bully. Bullies use intimidation, fear, and aggression to control others. They often target those they perceive as weaker, using physical, verbal, or emotional abuse to assert dominance. Their behavior can create a hostile and toxic environment, making it difficult for their targets to feel safe and confident. I remember a coworker, let's call him Steve, who would constantly belittle and intimidate others in meetings. His aggressive comments and harsh criticisms created a climate of fear where no one felt comfortable sharing their ideas. Stoicism teaches the importance of inner strength and resilience in the face of adversity. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the value of maintaining your dignity and self-respect, regardless of external circumstances. When dealing with a bully, it is crucial to stand up for yourself and not allow their behavior to undermine your self-worth. To manage interactions with a bully, assert your boundaries firmly and calmly. Bullies often back down when they realize their tactics are ineffective. For example, you might say, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. Let's keep our interactions respectful, or your behavior is unacceptable, and I won't tolerate it." Document instances of bullying behavior. Keep a record of what was said or done, including dates and times. This documentation can be invaluable if you need to escalate the issue to higher authorities or seek legal action. For instance, on July 10th, Steve made derogatory remarks about my work in front of the team, seek support from allies, and build a network of trusted colleagues or friends. Bullies often target individuals they perceive as isolated. By fostering strong relationships with supportive people, you can create a buffer against the bully's tactics. Discussing the issue with trusted allies can also provide validation and guidance on how to proceed. Confront the bully privately if you feel safe doing so. Sometimes bullies are less aggressive when not performing for an audience. Calmly express how their behavior affects you and request that it stop. For instance, Steve, when you criticize my work harshly in meetings, it creates a hostile environment. Please address any concerns you have with me directly and constructively. Report the bullying to higher authorities if it continues. Whether it's a supervisor, HR department, or school administrator, use your documentation to present a clear case. Organizations often have policies in place to handle such behavior. For example, I have documented several instances of Steve's bullying behavior and would like to formally report this issue to HR. Lastly, focus on building your own inner resilience and self-confidence. Engage in activities that reinforce your self-esteem and well-being. Practices like meditation, journaling, or seeking therapy can help you process your experiences and strengthen your ability to cope with bullying. As Seneca advised, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. By fortifying your mental and emotional strength, you can better withstand and respond to bullying behavior. Dealing with toxic people is a challenge we all face at some point in our lives. Whether it's a manipulator, narcissist, victim, critic, gossip, drama queen, king, control freak, passive-aggressive person, energy vampire, or bully, understanding their behaviors and applying Stoic principles can help you manage these interactions effectively. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, maintain our inner peace, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. By recognizing these toxic patterns and setting clear boundaries, you can protect your well-being and create healthier relationships. Remember, the key is to stay calm, assert your boundaries, and not let their behavior undermine your self-worth. Embrace the wisdom of Stoicism to navigate these challenges with grace and resilience. Now that you've gained valuable insights and reached the end of the video, show your newfound wisdom by commenting "I love wisdom" below. This lets me know that you enjoyed the video and that your knowledge has grown. Thank you for watching.